Hello and welcome to Quicktip 98, and to talk about drawing objects on the chart. We're going to be looking at three rectangles, as you can see here on the chart, and we're going to be creating them using a simple method. So what I've done is created a method here to draw the rectangle using syntax that you may be familiar with, but we've got inputs, a start date time, end date time, then price high, price low, a color, string, and transparency. What we're doing in the method is taking the start date time and converting it into a date time point, which is something that includes price and the date time. For both start DT point and end DT point, they're going to be the two ends of this rectangle. Then we're going to create the rectangle using rectangle.create using start DT point, end DT point. Then we're going to set some of the attributes, for example, the border color, the fill color, the fill, the weight border, and we're going to set it as rec.persist. That means it will stay on the chart even when we get a new tick. Otherwise it would disappear. Then we're going to add that to the chart, and we're also going to return the rectangle so that we can, in effect, if you look further down here, when I call this method, we're storing the result into rect1, which is the name of the rectangle. So what I'm doing once, we're setting up, finding out the date time just for simple date time using from EL date and time. If you right click on that, you'll see how that works. It's a overload method where you can actually also include seconds, but we are not doing that. We're just keeping it nice and simple. Keep going down here, you'll see the syntax from EL date and time. Creating those dates and times, then we're putting them into this method, which I've just shown you, called draw rectangle. And I've just put some arbitrary values for the pricing, and I've set the transparency to 150, and I've given them each a different color. So you can see with that, if we go to the chart, we get something like this. Now what happens if, so we're looking at the time now is about 8:10. So what happens if I change this so that, for example, the green one finishes at, say, 8 o'clock. So I'm going to change the time like so, and I'm now going to try and, or I'm going to verify the program. I'm going to go back to the chart, and you'll see we get something else drawn. Now if we go to the very end of the chart, you'll see that we're not really going very much beyond 8:12, 8:13. So let's say we put in 8:15. So I'm going to change that to 8:15, verify, and go to the chart. Now you'll see now there is no rectangle visible on the chart. So what do we do? How are we going to get around that? Well, one thing we could do is add a little bit of extra syntax here. So what we're saying is, if the time of the last bar on the chart is less than the end time that we're using here, DT end time, which 8:15, then what we can do is set the DT end time to be the date time of the last bar on the chart. Incidentally, to convert the get app info right display date time, I'm using this trace station method DT from Julian, because this is in Julian format, which is slightly confusing, so we need a method to convert that into date time. But anyway, if the time of that is less than the date time that we want, which is 8:15, then we set the DT end time to the date time, the last bar on the chart. So let's verify that, and you'll see that, okay, that's perhaps just not late enough. Let me just go a little bit further and say 8:20. So you'll see it's done what we wanted. It's drawn to the last bar on the chart, even though we haven't got to the 8:20. Now, if we were just to leave this now, and I'll just show you what happens in a few minutes. So what you'll notice is that even though we've not got to 820, it appears that the rectangle has been drawn to 815, which was the last bar on the chart when we applied the program, or we verified the program. So that's not exactly what we need. So we need to add something else to make it so that it continues to update the chart. So what I've done is created another method, and what this method does is it just updates the rectangle. The input is the rectangle plus the start and end time, so that we can continue to update the rectangle and set the start point price, the endpoint price, and using the DT point create, so that we can set the start point and set the end point. And to do that, we have also said if it's the last bar on the chart, and it is the first tick of the bar, which I've done using this little construction here where I'm storing bar status 1 into bar STLT, if that is equal to 2, then what we're going to do is we're going to take the start time and the end time, and we're going to update, we're going to call that method using update rect, which is the name of the method. And what we're going to say is if the last bar of the chart is less than the DT endpoint, then we're going to keep setting it to the value of the DT from Julian of the last bar on the chart to update the rectangle. And we're also just clearing the print log and printing the number of rectangles, which should just remain as 3 in this case, because we're not adding additional rectangles. So now that I've done that, if I go back into the program and, for example, set the time to 8:25 for that last, so 8:25, 8:25, and I'm going to verify the program, and we'll just watch and probably cut the thing to show you. Just need to change that to 710 so that the two are in sync. Okay, and if we just watch that, we should see that the rectangle will keep being updated until it gets to the 8:25 bar. Okay, so we've reached the 8:25 bar, and the rectangle has stopped being drawing at the correct place. So if you have another way of doing this, let me know. Otherwise, hopefully this is helpful. Thank you.